right. I don't see the little banner that says recording. And there it is. Recording has started. All right. Well, welcome everyone to the March 2021 Kansas City Microsoft Office 365 user group. Um, it's been a long year already, but we're glad that you've made it to the group. Today we have Stacy Deer-Stroll presenting 11 tips and tricks in Microsoft 365. And she is a Microsoft MVP. She owns her own IT firm, her own consulting firm, which I'm sure she'll tell us about, Focal Point Solutions. And she runs the Cincinnati user group and the Cincinnati Sharepoint Saturday, or might be an M365 Saturday now. I'm sure we'll find out here in a moment. And Stacy's been in the Microsoft community for well over a decade. So lots of
nicely put.
you know, we use the well over a decade to say there's numbers out there that exceed 10. That's it. I can't count past that on my fingers. But with that, Stacy, I'll let you go ahead and take it away. And looks like you're already presenting, so cool. I'm going to turn my video off so that you have the screen.
All right, thank you. Well, welcome everybody, and thank you for inviting me this month for the user group. As Jonathan said, I'm not going to repeat a lot of the stuff that he said. We're going to talk about some 11 tips and tricks, try to make things easy, things maybe you didn't know, some shortcuts, those types of things. My name is Stacy Deer-Stroll. I am a Microsoft SharePoint MVP, owner of a company called Focal Point Solutions, home based out of Cincinnati, Ohio, but essentially we're all over the place. You will be able to find my contact information on here. Feel free to reach out at any time if you have a question or a problem trying to implement anything that I show you. I am on social, just like many others are. And then, of course, you can find my blog site out there and the company website, which, we put content out there as well. So feel free to reach out at any time. So today we're going to talk about some things that I took for granted for a very long time and didn't think about, or they didn't come up, or I didn't think about using them or finding a way to make things work until a client's need. But there's just a lot of changes that go on. So today we're going to kind of talk about audience targeting. Under Teams, we're going to talk about location, internet, approvals, stream. I'm going to show some cool things with Microsoft Lists, on importing and templates. Form responses to SharePoint, one of my funnest things to do. I love Microsoft Forms, but one of the biggest things the first time I ever saw them was like, man, I want to be able to capture this data. Well, I'm going to show you a quick and easy way to do that. How to manage projects. Planner is really great. They're continuing to make changes. Another release type of thing just came out over the weekend that I have not got to play with because I don't even think my tenant has it yet. But we'll talk a little bit about that when we get to it. But I'm going to show you how to create some templates and utilize them in Teams as well. And then I'm going to talk about, show you guys some cool ways to do filtering within the modern site through their news, to do different types of things, and also scheduling. And I'm going to show you how to do expirations inside there as well. All right, so first thing, I'm a big proponent of not watching slides a lot. So I actually do a lot of demo, not as many slides. But audience targeting in modern, there's 4 different places that you can do it. You can set it for pages, news web parts, navigational links, and the highlight content web part. So we're actually just going to go on over to the site. Here's my fun little site that I have. Now notice up here I have what they call a global navigation. This exists if the site is identified as a hub site. And if I go and I hit edit here, notice down here I have this option for enable site navigation audience targeting, right? So I have it on, which means anything that I have up here. So say I don't, typical one is the executives. There's a great place where executives, they only like to click once. They don't want to drill down. The rule of thumb is 3 clicks or less. They just want to click once to get their information. So what you can do is add them to the global navigation so it kind of follows them everywhere. And if I edit here, then notice I have audiences to target. So then if I have a group created on the back end, like a security group, distribution group type of thing, I can add them in here. Of course, I don't know if I have any in there we go. So we'll just do adoption members. So then only the people in adoption members, once this updates, will be able to see the executive link up here. Anybody else that's not in there won't even know that it exists. So it eliminates the users clicking a link and getting a "you do not have access," and it keeps your navigation clean, and it makes things easy for people who need to see stuff very, very quickly, like your executives. So there's one place that you can do it. Your in-place in-site navigation, you also have it as well. So anything here that's pertaining to the site itself, you can do the same exact thing. So you can just go to your edit and set up your audience targeting there. Now, keep in mind when you set it up, it does take a little bit. So even if I am in a group that I'm putting in audience targeting, as soon as I click OK, it disappears for me. It literally, you have to wait for the timer jobs on the back end to complete, and then it will display back up here for you. So don't freak out when that happens. I have to tell you, the first time it happened, I may have freaked out just a little bit, but I was able to reverse it, get it back, and all that kind of stuff, and just play with it a little bit. So be patient on that. Another place I had mentioned web parts. Okay. So notice I have a quick links web part, and I always try to find a way to get my dogs involved. So they're my pictures today. So I'm going to edit here. And then I have a web part. I'm going to edit my quick links web part, and notice I can enable audience targeting here. This means if I enable this, that I can set up who I want to see all of these quick links here. So go back to thinking about the executives, or say maybe HR related type things. Maybe you want to make it quick and easy for executives and they have multiple links. You could put all the links here and then hide it from everybody else. So, and you have another block down here with, company related things that you want people to see. So if you are an executive, you would see this quick links in the next one. If you're not, you would only see this one, or they kind of scoot up. So it kind of doesn't leave a blank space or anything like that on there, but it allows you to show groups of links to certain individuals. Pretty cool, huh? So I use, so with the audience targeting, I use it a ton in the navigation, but when you're working on pages, so like department pages, with the whole global navigation and the audience targeting these days, what that has allowed you to do is be to be able to streamline your actual site architecture. You no longer need as many sites. You no longer need as many pages, because you can link to, especially since the mega menu exists, you can link straight to the actual content that you're looking for, or the document, in a very easy, organized way without over-architecting your entire environment. All right. So if we go back over here, so I do keep all this stuff in my slides so that you guys can see it. Microsoft Teams. So I've gotten more and more excited about Teams. I have to admit, I wasn't the most excitable person when it came to Teams in the beginning, only because of what I do day to day. I'm in the browser a lot. So for me to switch from one app to the other was not exactly efficient unless I was in a meeting or chatting. So I've grown to love it more and more. So now I'm on a kick, so I find out all these cool team stuff, so I have to share. So one of the things that I love the most, I don't get to use it very much, as you guys heard. I don't leave my house very much because, Jonathan says all I do is work. But there's a share location. It only works on your actual mobile phone when you have Teams on it. So if you go to the chat and you select the plus icon, you can select your location. So you can then select how long you want to share your location to somebody. So you can do 30 minutes one day, always on, meaning while you're there, it's always going to be on. So it's essentially just like a pin drop on an Apple phone or an iPhone, right? So, which is pretty cool. I wish it was actually on the computer, because I drive with my computer. When I'm traveling anytime I travel to Kansas City, I always have my computer open, right? So this is what it looks like on the phone. Notice they get a map, right? So it has the address on it. So this allows a person that is, trying to locate this person, they can easily use the directions where they're currently at and where they need to go to, which is the location that has been shared, right? So something that's pretty cool, pretty easy. If you ever get the opportunity to play with it, I would definitely try to. So the next option inside of Teams is the intranet. So one of the things I always thought was my most frustrating thing is if all my stuff works in Teams except the intranet, what's the point? Because I have a lot of content that's in the intranet that I need to get to, or my links to the intranet, etc. Well, Microsoft has finally came up with a way, I would say half of a way, to provide that information to us. So if I go down here, notice I've got my KC user group, and I go to General, and I go to my plus sign up here. I'm going to wait for this to come up, and I'm going to choose SharePoint. So then I'm going to wait for this to pop up here. Come on, there we go. All right, so I don't want to cite the homepage from the KC user group, so I'm going to go here. I'm going to go back to my site here real quick. I'm going to pull my URL, just did a quick copy. I'm going to paste it in here. Hit save, and what we will see is that the intranet will now display in here, which is great. Notice I have my news, I have my links, my events, all that kind of stuff that I have posted on my intranet. But what do I not have? I do not have a global navigation, and I do not have in-page navigation. So if you're going to share your intranet into Teams to help make things easy, and you have a large amount of people utilizing it, you need to really think about in-page navigation as different types of links, and is global navigation valuable, or what is being displayed in the global navigation if they need that, and make sure there's another way that they can get to that content as well. Okay, so it's a great start. There's more things coming down in the roadmap where we're going to be able to essentially pin an intranet over here. So we would be able to click on it, and it would be the full-fledged intranet with the global in-page navigation, etc. Right now, this is what we have. Also, in the future, with the whole Viva project, it also will, that kind of consumes information from your intranet as well. It could potentially be a fit for you in that way as well. All right. So what's next? I'm not going to come out here because I know the next one is one of my ultimate new favorites. It's called approvals. So approvals are literally on the fly, in a conversation, chat type of situation where you need people to vote or agree or approve something. So if you go and start a new conversation, you have this option down here with this little circle, the checkbox called approvals. So I'm going to give it a name. What color should I paint the wall? Right. Now come to my approvers. So I need to set up my approvers here. So I'm going to ask Ryan. I'm going to ask Christine. Let's see if Sherry's in. Oh, I don't have Sherry in here in this one. All right. So now I can also say, do I want to require a response from all approvers? If I just only need one person to approve whatever I need, I can unselect this, and the first one that replies, that's the answer. Or if I need a response from everybody that I put up here, I can do require a response from all. I can add some additional details here. I can add a picture or a document, whatever I need to there. I could also supply custom responses. Come on. Go. Let's say blue or green. Always the two I ask, and I can hit send. So notice is now anytime that the first time you use approvals within a Teams, you are going to be asked, hey, this first time you've used it, you need to accept the privacy policy terms and conditions. You say okay or continue, and then it will post to your channel. So then these individuals will actually get a notification asking for them to reply to this approval. Pretty nifty. All right. Stream integration. So I think Stream is a great tool to use for many different reasons. Not only training for like technical types of training, but also think about construction companies and they have safety videos that people have to watch. They have to take surveys at the end to keep up with their certifications, medical, all that kind of stuff. But if they're remote, you need to find great ways to be able to get that to them so that they can complete that type of information on their time. So we know that, using streaming, create these videos and channels and all that kind of stuff to make that available, but how do you make it available to your employees that are using Teams essentially most of the day? So I've created down here a channel called Videos. I'm going to go up here. And I'm going to select Stream. And then notice I have the option for a channel or a video. So I'm just going to leave it at channel here. I have a Sharepoint training. Notice it's a company-wide, so I'm good on permissions. And then I can name the tab. Well, I just want to call it training because I want to keep it short and to the point. I could call it safety training, whatever I needed to, and then hit save. Okay. So then once it updates here, I will literally see all the videos associated inside of that channel. So now anybody that's remote or on their phone can sit there and watch these videos while they're traveling or they're on a job site, etc. You can still have the surveys at the end so they can fill out the questionnaires at the end of it, and it works just wonderfully. Of course, data and all that stuff on your phone applies, but I'm not going to get into all that. It just depends on your plan. Another option for videos, as I stated, is choosing an individual video. So maybe you have a town hall meeting or a corporate meeting, and you want to be able to share it with the masses. And again, you have remote people are traveling. So I can go and find a video that I'm looking for. I can select it. Again, you get to change the tab name. We'll call it Town Hall. Make it short. I can save it. And then now they can watch the video is in full screen on here. They can watch the town hall video. Okay. Also notice on here on any of the channels. So notice it will tell you that things are posted. So if someone's following a channel, the post, they'll get notified. So if they have access, they'll be notified. Same thing with any of these. Okay. So knowledge share is another one that I like. So when COVID hit, I was asked to, how can we help the IT staff? We got everybody moving from home, working from home now. So they're really busy helping people get connected, staying connected, all this kind of stuff. We have processes that people used to walk over to someone's desk and ask questions, or, they always had buffers and other people that they could go to. So how can we help them be more efficient and help each other and help the help desk? So I come up with a solution. It's literally a knowledge share and training site is essentially what I did. But what we're going to do here is, this is the site that I created. I'm just going to copy it from here, come back over here, and I'm going to add it to this knowledge share area. Okay. So I go to SharePoint, again here, and I can save it. So then that site that I created, which the entire global navigation was only for like the help desk anyways, it's completely audience trimmed. Everything else, there was no in-page navigation that was needed either. Everything else is all within the page. So they have user group videos and blog information here. They can submit a help desk ticket. They can review the help desk tickets. Notice a help desk video. So as the help desk are helping people, like say change your password or reset your router, whatever they're doing with people who work from home, they can do, as they're in their teams, they can record it and then upload it to something called the help desk videos. And they're essentially, as they're working these tickets, also recording it to reuse. Same thing with how-to videos. How-to videos are short, brief snippets, 2 to 3 minutes or so with how do I do X type of thing. You can supply those as well. And then, knowledge-based articles, any training events, virtual training events people might be doing. But we also offer select things like submit content. So if someone runs into something they learned how to do, so they can submit it, they can supply suggestions and feedback as well. But notice it's now in Teams, it's fully functional for them, and you're sharing the information, you're sharing the information directly with them, okay? And so it just makes life easier. And then the really cool thing about the knowledge share as well that I like, on the post side, someone could literally communicate about that site and things to add or start a discussion on something straight from the post area. So it allows them all to work together in Teams to do that. Any questions? I'm assuming you guys will let me know if there's any questions. You guys still there?
Yes,
Okay.
Yes, we will.
Okay. All right. So the next area that we're going to talk about is Microsoft Lists. So this was one area at first I was a little confused about. I'm like, man, I create lists all the time. Now I got to go to a different place to create lists. But I was actually really excited once I actually dug into it, once I realized really what it was doing. For one, when I saw the look, I'm like, wow, this is really starting to look a lot like the Power Apps, Power Automate, Power BI, look and feel. So I'm like, so it made me do some thinking. So I started playing with it a little bit more and found out there's a multitude of ways that you can start a new list. A blank list, which is very, very similar to going to a new site and creating a list. However, creating it through here is automatically essentially setting up the foundation to do more with this list, meaning setting it up for future phases of Power Apps, adding Power Automate, Power BI to it, especially around naming conventions and stuff like that, that typically when you create a list directly within a site, you actually have to clean up behind the scenes when you start integrating Power Apps or Power Automate to it. So the options you have is a blank list, import from Excel, or import from an existing list. Anybody ever feel like they get the deja vu thing that they're recreating the same list over and over again? Well, the good thing is we all do it, and now you can recreate those very easily. All right. So as I said, it automatically readies you for integration to Power Apps, Power Automate, and Teams. So we're going to go over to me. I'd rather demo it. So here, notice I will see a list of all my recent ones that I've created. If I go to new list, blank list is like, I had mentioned, new blank. I'm so creative, right? You can choose a color for the back end of it. We'll go with this. What type is it? Hey, I want to go on a trip. And notice I have an option here, save to. So I can save it to my lists, meaning it stays in here and only I see it, something that I want to use. It's very private. Or I can select another site to actually save that to. So what I'm going to do is just going to choose this site here. New blank list, I'm going to hit create. So now, as you can tell, same type of a list that you would typically see, but notice the look and feel of it all looks like the more modern Power Apps, Power Automate stuff. If I go back to this site here, come on, site contents. And you will see I have a new blank site. All right.
So, a question from Nancy. I don't know why I'm echoing for everyone.
I'm sorry, you're breaking up on me a little bit.
I'm echoing myself at least. She said she mentioned not being able to edit the title field in both edit views. And she also said she's not sure. She used to be able to copy a list and then modify it all the time, but now it seems like duplicating the list is not available. She wants to know if you have any ideas. She wants to save the content of the list, not just the framework, so to speak.
So you just don't want a template of a list. You want all the data as well.
Yes, it looks like it. Yes, please, she says.
So, well, two things one thing you could do with that, you could create, the list with all your fields, and then you could go to inside the one list, select all the items and do a copy to that other list, and that would duplicate the information as well for the content inside that list. Or you could use a migration tool to do so. To my knowledge, no, you cannot take a list with all its content and easily duplicate it any other way. But either one of those would work. Does that answer the question?
She says she thinks so.
Okay. If you have any other questions, let me know. The title field in both, they don't let you edit the title field in both edit view. I'm assuming she means from here. Because I can rename it right here. Is that what you meant by that, Nancy? That you can't do that?
Stacy, probably like the title field, the column. You know how we changed that to like, employee name or something.
Like that? No,
Nope,
not that
not
either.
that either.
Nancy, can you come up mute and then you can ask? So make sure.
She has no voice earlier.
Oh, gotcha.
Or maybe post a screenshot.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, I'll continue on, and then when we get that, then I'll come back to that for you, Nancy. So we can get a little bit more information. I'll be glad to answer that for you. All right. So one of the other options is from Excel. So I have to tell you, this is probably one of my new favorite, funnest things that I love to do. Go figure, right? So if I upload a file, and I'm going to go to Documents. I have a fun one that I've been messing with that I do a lot here. Actually, I don't want this one here. I'm going to do site report. All right. So notice I just chose an Excel doc off of my computer. However, you could choose an Excel doc that's in SharePoint as well. So notice you can actually change. So if this is a title, notice it is a title, so I'm okay with that. So that's going to be there. This is a single line of text. Come on. Why is I can't get my thing to go? Hey, come over. Oh, there we go. There's you can only use the mouse on your keyboard. That's weird. Okay, so storage notices a number. This is going to be a single line of text because it tells if it's a hub or not. Template. Notice that this is a date and it says number, so I can actually change the date and time. Same here. So I can adjust what type of columns they are. Number. This is not a number. This is single line of text. Number. Mouse on the keyboard. So Nancy, I'm literally just scrolling with the mouse on my laptop because my mouse itself, and there's no scroll bar, so I have to use the mouse pad on my actual laptop. So I just validate that they're all set correctly, and then I can hit next. And then again, I'm just going to modify this site name, description. Yeah, no, Nancy, not on a desktop. No, you have to either have like an external, like a track pad that you can move with your fingers, a touchpad. But if you're on my mouse, like I have an Arc mouse and I can't do it on there. So it has to have a touchpad capabilities to it to be able to do it. Site report, so this is a list. hit that here. I'm also going to save this to the site report. I better put like a 4 because I've probably done this one a few times. So we'll just put 5. And I'll hit create. And then as you see, you can see all the information that was in that list is now here. Now, once it's here, I can decide, do I want these columns, delete it, and all that stuff. So I can start doing the cleanup of how I want it. I can start formatting the list so they, you know, every other row is a different color. I can add choice fields, all that kind of stuff to start filtering through the data. Okay, so another great tool, and a new list from an existing list. So this is one that I find, like I said, that I use quite often, right? So say I want the same information, or we'll just do SharePoint best feedback here, right? So I just want to do another feedback list. I know I need the same columns, but say it's for a different group. So I can just do next. We'll call this. Okay. See, I'm going to call this test feedback because I did create another one earlier for another piece of this. I'm testing, give it a color, and then I'm going to put it out there as well. Like I said, I can always save it for just me. Hit create, and then what we'll see is I have all of my columns but no content. So add an item and see if the title field is available. So like here, add an item. Huh. That's interesting.
Wow. If you go to the drop down at the top right, does it give you anything to change? Edit columns?
Yeah, that just tells you the. I was wondering if there was a content type associated. So I wonder, hold on. So if I do it in grid view, I have it. So if I go into grid view, which is, you know, essentially throwing this into Excel, I do have it there, but good call. I have never noticed that. So hold on here. So let's go.
Yeah, so that's what I don't know if you're seeing the messages now, but yeah, that's what Nancy was trying to was talking about.
Yeah, I brought it up so I could kind of see. So I was wondering, so title field, which we have, it's required. So which would be interesting because you wouldn't even, if you added the information. So that's very interesting. All right, Nancy, I'm gonna note this. Hold on. This is why I have one of those big calendars on my desk because I write notes all over them. I'm gonna look at that one. I got you, Nancy. I got you. All right. So now we've been through the duplicates or how to create an existing. All right. So back to another way. The fourth way are templates. Microsoft has provided 8 different types of templates. The cool things with these templates is they've thought about everything you could possibly think about. And because they've already created the templates, we're just going to choose the issue tracker. Notice here I have a scroll button, by the way. The other I don't. Here they have the issue column, the description, priority, status, assigned to, date, days old, all these different things. All right. So if I say use template, see, clearly I've done this one. So we're going to just call it a 10. And we're still going here, here. All right. So notice now I have my list created with all those fields we just saw. If I go to new here, see now that how weird is that? So it shows there because this would be the title column in this one. Oh, hold on. Let's go check this out. Hold on. Let's go check this out. I'm gonna go get all. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. I'm going to go to the settings. Yeah. So issue is not listed here, just like the other, and it's underneath title and it displays. Interesting. All right. Now I'm curious about that. I'm gonna have to play with it. So notice your field is already populated for you. Also, this is your opportunity to decide what you do and don't want. So like in the one, which is I always find funny, but I know why they did it. I think it's I've seen Sherry do this one too when I heard demos, and it always makes me crack up. Travel. So requesting travel. In the actual form, you have the option as soon as you create it to approve your own travel, right? You're probably not going to want that or want everybody to see that. So that is something that you would either, remove or hide, depending on how you're going to go through your approval process. But the fact that that is in there should give you an indication that guess what they've also done with these templates. They've already prepped these for Power Apps and Power Automate to the point that behind the scenes, you can actually start to see where they're going to put default ones to use for some of it. Now, you're going to have to do a lot of tweaking because they're not really going to know what your processes are, but they are primed and ready for Power Apps so that you can turn them into a mobile version of them. Power Automate so you can say who their approvers are, who it goes to, and that changing the statuses and all that. So they're building a lot of that stuff in there for you. So I would definitely start thinking about that. And the thing is Microsoft has provided you 8 templates. By doing some of the things that I've shown you, you can build your own templates within your organization and save them and then reuse them as you need to for different types of things. It'll save you a lot of time, a lot of effort, and you'll just have to have, you get to save your Power Apps, you can save your flows and reuse them. So it kind of brings everything together. So once I got to play with lists a little bit more, the more and more I got excited about it. Any questions on that? And Nancy, make sure, Nancy, you email me. As soon as I find an answer for that, I'll let you know, by the way. All right. So sending responses to SharePoint. All right. We're just going to dive right into that. All right. So I went to Microsoft Forms and I created a Kansas City user group feedback form. So essentially, and notice you could win $25 Amazon gift card. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Keep this in mind. Full name. So you can enter your full name. You would enter in your email address. And you have 5 stars where you can rank the content that is being shared and you can rate the presenter. And then there's just an additional feedback area down here that you can fill in. And then, of course, when you go to preview, it looks like this. So very simple form, but you may want to capture this information so that you get, you can compare how you did from the first time you gave this presentation to the second, etc., or just a place so that you're accumulating all of your feedback for, personal improvement type stuff, right? So, then you can also, by the way, go over here to share and change who you want to be able to respond to these. Notice on this one, I just kind of have anyone can respond. And, I really like this QR code thing. I think this is really cool. Also, you can share these as templates. If someone really liked my my feedback form, they're like, hey, can you send that to me? I was like, sure. I can send them a link and they would open it and then they could save it into their environment as is what I created. Now, it wouldn't bring over the list or anything, but it would bring over the form. That's a great way to be able to share forms that you've spent a ton of time with. Anyway, so I've just created a really, simple form here, but I want to capture the information. So I came over into the site and I created just a out of the box list, and I renamed my title column to submitter right here. And then I added an email field. Now, the biggest part about sending responses to an actual SharePoint list is all of the columns within the list have to be a text column, a text field, right? So this is single line of text, single line of text, single line of text, and I put a multiple line of text here, okay? It's very simple, very easy, no choice fields, none of that, okay? So now we want to take we want to fill this in and we want the information to go here. We're going to do that by creating a Power Automate flow. Oh, that's not what I just wanted. Automate, create a flow. There we go. And because I know it's not there, that's not what I wanted. I'm getting trigger happy, show more, and then I want to go to see more templates. Okay. So by default, Microsoft provides a ton of templates right out of the box to help get you started. So there's a ton of different things that we could do. We want to keep one that's just really simple. We just want the responses. Oops. By the way, the more you use some of these templates, the more they just automatically come up to the top. So notice I can send form responses for approval. So I can send something for approval before it goes, or it'll go into the list, but then it'll be approval, or I could just record responses in Sharepoint, which is the one we're going to do. It's going to show the connection between forms and Sharepoint. It's going to go through my connection, and I'm going to hit continue. All right, so now it says pick a form. Okay, so our form, you go away. Here we go. We go down, we'll find our form, Casey user group feedback. Now it says list of respondents. It's just going to, whoever gets to it, form ID. So now it wants us to choose the form again, Casey user group, and list of responses. And then now here it wants me to go to the site where my list exists. It's my default site. Now from within my site, it's going to filter all the lists that I have, Casey user group. And then what we will see is all those fields that we just saw here are displaying here. So I'm going to select title. We know title was, where is full name. So in the form, it's full name. Email is email address. Content, so is rate the content. Speaker, rate the presenter. Feedback, come on, is additional feedback. All right, so now I've mapped the fields from the form to that list that I created. So now I'm going to hit save. Also, before I go too far in that, up here, notice it says record form responses in Sharepoint and a number 15. That means that I, at times where I'm doing examples, I don't always go rename my flows. You do want to make sure you want to do that, because if you have a problem, you have to go back and troubleshoot. You're going to have to go through, like, in this case, I would have had to go through 15 different ones to figure out which one was the one I'm using. So if I go to Casey user group, I can easily figure out which one it is. We'll automatically save here. All right, there we go. And then what I always do is I'm going to go check to make sure I don't have any errors, right? So I'm going to go to my flow checker. I have no errors, no warnings. So now I'm going to run a test. So I'm going to manually run a test. All right. So I'm going to go back to my form here. I'm going to go to preview. I think someone already responded. So we're going to say, hey, she's not here, so we're going to play a game. Sharon Weaver. What's her email there, Jonathan? That's Weaver. Am I close? She's not here, so we're going to say she loves the content. She loves the presenter.
It's Smarter Dash Consulting.
Oh, thank you. Since Jonathan is ignoring me. Just.
He put it in chat. He wasn't ignoring you.
Oh, okay, got her. And then I'm going to hit submit. So now that I've hit submit, I'm going to go over here. And, oh, Sherry did it. She caught my hint. And I refresh, and now I have the information that I posted.
The magic of the QR code and snapping a picture with your phone while somebody's got it on the screen.
You got it. I did do a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So hopefully some people caught on to what I was doing there. So I'm still going to say wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So we'll get to it though. All right. Any questions on that? What do you guys think about that? I'll notice here also when you run through the test, if by chance it was a really long flow and all this kind of stuff, it check marks each one that you go through. If there was something red and you clicked on it, you could expand it and find exactly where the error is as well. Cool. All right, I believe we got planner stuff next. Notice I do put all that stuff in there. Managing projects. Yeah. All right. It's one of my other favorite ones. All right. So planner. So one of the biggest things, I've loved planner since day one because I find project too overbearing at certain times when it comes to managing a project. Sometimes I just need something simple and easy. Here's my task. Here's people assigned to it when it's due. You know, and then there's so much more that you can do that some people don't realize in planner. But one of the biggest things are, you know, in my organization, we use Planner for all of our projects, and we may have multiple projects for the same client. So we attach all the plans to each client also has a group site. We attach them all to one group site so we can easily go from one plan to the next, update. They can see where they're at, etc. But building a plan can be somewhat cumbersome, right? It takes time and effort to building them out. So I started looking at ways to not cheat the system, but make it easier, create some shortcuts. Well, one of our first things that I ran into when using Planner was if I created the plan through the group site or through here, and if I just named it, say, migration project or whatever, do you know how many migration projects I've probably done, in my lifetime during the time of having Focal Point Solutions, which means I could have like literally 100 projects called migration project. So one of the first things that I decided to do was do an abbreviation by client in front of my plans so that I can tell that I can group all the plans one. So when I'm in the Planner hub, all that client's plans are together. They're I can easily find them and they're searchable. Okay, so that way they're just not identified just by a name itself. So notice here you'll see an example like NASA migration, right? So that's just an example. So anytime I have any NASA projects, that's the abbreviation, and then we'll put something at the end of it. So like here's TSA migration type of stuff, right? So that's one shortcut to do, is making sure that you're giving that abbreviation. It makes it a lot easier to find your content. The next thing is you spend a lot of time building out a plan, and you realize a lot of the stuff is reusable. You have one migration project after another, and everything is identical other than a small little handful of things. So why not make it easy on yourself, right? So what I always do is create something called Pmo Templates, is what I call them. You can call them whatever you want. So inside my Pmo Templates, notice what I've done is I've actually created buckets. One for project setup, administration, development, branding, migration, security, compliance, etc. I can go through and add tasks for each one of these areas, being essentially the default for every project. Any type of, task for any of these types of areas within a project. So I just do task one. You don't really have to assign anybody because you're creating a template, right? So you can put notes if you want to, but then you can do your checklist. Task 1, task 2, task 3, right? So you can go and build out all the different things. Like one of them, let me see if I've got a really good one. So here's, here's some things I had built out. So a lot of these, like you could literally have like 9, 10 things in your task list. You don't want to have to recreate those every single time, right? You also may build out your own, your labels while you're doing it, setting up what pink means and what blue means. And you want that to come over across. You don't want to have to create that stuff every single time. Well, you can go create your tasks, the various different tasks within your organization. And I'll actually show you here kind of more filled out because I have like a ton of, like I said, I use this stuff all the time to show you the extent of some of the things that, you can use. So here, if you notice, here's all the things around project site setup that needs to be done. On-prem SharePoint migrations. Here's all these different things, our process, procedures, right, that you have to do for all these different types of items. Do you really want to sit there and recreate those every single time? Answer is going to be no. So set up your different buckets, create your different individual tasks that are done for a project, for those different areas, different tasks, whatever they are. Once you're done, then if you have a new project that is set up, what you can do is actually go to the task, say, okay, I need project set up for every project, so this one's got to come over. So I'm going to copy this. Notice, so here my plan name is Pmo Templates. I want to put it into a new one. So I'm going to go put it under the TSA migration. And then notice I have buckets. I can choose which bucket I want to put it in. All right. So I'm going to say project setup, and I'm going to say copy. All right. So then if I go back to the TSA, notice right here is my task that I just created. Okay, so I easily can populate another project with those individual tasks. So I could piecemeal them if it's not exactly, to spec of a normal project. It's got piecemeal different types of tasks that you need to do, right? So you can do that and easily configure that. The other great thing that you can do is you can, if you've got a project, that like migrations, it's the same process over and over and over again. You will only have minor tweaks that are very client specific, right? So what I do is I create something called so like for me, migration project or document a migration or whatever it might be, right? So I set everything up once. I know I'm going to repeat this, so I don't want to have to do every individual task, just like I just showed you. So you can fill this all out once, and then when you're done, when you have your next migration project, you can go copy plan. So now you can copy the entire plan. So I can go here, and then I can say this is maybe this is for say EPA migration project, right? I can go and select a group. So if I had an EPA group, I could select to attach that to it. I'm just going to attach it. By the way, oh shoot, that's not what I want to do. I was hoping it would show me. They're going to be, one of the new changes coming out is you no longer have to associate it to a group. I think they called it, I can't remember what the name of it that they called it. So I can create a new group here. We'll just do that. And then I can bring over my labels. See, I can exist all my labels that I created, and I can say, okay. So now it's copying that plan. So as soon as it's done, I will see it appear up here. And it does take a minute. But essentially when it shows up, then that entire project is already set up. It has all the tasks, it has all the labels. The only thing you will need to do is go modify it to anything specific for that client's project. So it'll save you a ton of time and a ton of money because you've simplified your process. So now if you know, here's the EPA migration project, and here all are your buckets. Any questions? All right. The other thing is if you come down here inside a team, you also have the option to bring Planner into here as well so that you can share the information. And I'm either overlooking it or I'm blind. So I'm going to create a new plan. So like I could create one called KC. Right. Or I could use an existing plan that's already associated to this team, and I can hit save. And then I would see the plan here. So you can see it in Planner inside your group site, and you can share it inside of your actual teams as well. And you also have the ability to see it in list format, and then of course your charts as well. And I also like the kind of the schedule, especially if it's a big project. It's really nice that they can sit here and see the schedule in a whole like this versus in the individual in the board or the list. Okay, any questions? All right, so that is managing projects. How are we doing on time, everybody? We doing good?
We've got about 5 minutes.
Okay, plenty of time to show filtering and scheduling. All right, so filtering and scheduling so essentially this entire site is built off a lot of filtering and scheduling, right? So essentially what's going on here is under site content. So everybody knows like news, events, news and events are the big main ones, but you have different types of news and announcements and all that kind of stuff. All of them create pages inside of site pages, right? So one of the things that you can do inside of site pages is actually add like a category or page type. And then you can add, things like I have user group, knowledge base, news items, etc. So when you do that, you're allowing yourself to then filter information on your pages based off of this information, right? So also in here, you'll notice that you have scheduling. I have scheduling enabled. So if I open up one of these, and I go to edit, and I go to page details, you will notice if I turn on scheduling on this page, so it doesn't, just because you turn it on as a whole doesn't mean it's on every page, because it just allows it to be available here. Now notice I have when I want to publish this page. So say I want to publish this page on the 11th, right? Also notice I have an expiration. So by default, Microsoft now provides an expiration date, but they do not provide how to set expiration. So at that date, it just rolls off like it used to. Before we didn't have publish date, we had expiration. Now it's reversed. So essentially, if you add a column for expiration date, you can set here, and then you will set the expiration date for the 15th. So all I did was add a column, date and time field, and I'm going to go ahead and schedule it. Okay. So then if we go back here, notice this one is scheduled, and here's the expiration date. Okay. Now if I go back here, and if I edit, so here I have knowledge base. So if I go to edit here, notice I'm in site pages. I have created a view called knowledge base, so I'm filtering that data in there. There, no folders in there, of course. And then how many items I want to share. I can also hide the command bar or not. And then what happens when I select that is here, all I'm seeing are items that are tagged as knowledge base. Okay. Training events. If I go here, notice that, so this site, so I can say this site, all sites. So I'm just going to choose this site. I'm going to choose by category of expiration, all upcoming events. Oh, yep, category, all upcoming events. Oh, that's not the one I want. That's not showing me my, hold on. Why didn't it, did it show? Yeah, it was a knowledge base article, wasn't it? Wasn't it on KB? Hold on, let me verify what that was. Hold on. Thought it was a knowledge base article that I selected. Maybe not. My first screw up. Dang it. Oh, it was a user group. My bad. All right, so if we go back to user group here. So in user group, I have essentially this is a filter of all the user group items in here. So if I go here, and so if I had my expiration date set here. Oh man, I can't show it that way. Here, let me go to my slides because I chose a bad one to do. So if I go here, so notice the scheduling, do the expiration date. Oh, don't scroll that way. So here, if I go to the filter, so like on news, I should have filtered a news item and I chose the wrong one to do. If I go to page properties, notice I have that property name for that column I created. I select after and then today in brackets. So then like on the events and all that kind of stuff. So after the fact, once that day hits, the event will automatically roll off. So if, like this probably is no longer on here. It was posted on January 13th and it was, that's June. This one is on this coming Wednesday. On Thursday, it will no longer show in the list because of the filter based here. So this is a great way to add expiration dates back into the system that we were very used to, so that new things are published, old things are coming off. It allows you guys to a lot easier keep fresh content out there and not showing old or expired content. All right. And boom, I see something on this screen. Everybody whip out their phones, do the QR code, post the feedback. You could win $25 Amazon gift card, and I will send it out via email. Thank you. Any questions? How does that work in Teams pages? Which piece? The filtering? Because for the filtering, so if you create the view. So the view is based off of, I don't know if you can, because you're filtering a web part off of that view. The only thing that you would probably have to have a flow actually tie that to the list if you want to display it in Teams. So in Teams, what would happen is once you have the expiration date set, so you're displaying that view in a list. So once it hits that date set as the expiration, the flow would kick off like daily and see if there's anything past that, and actually probably most likely change the status of it so that it's no longer showing in that view. Or if you chose to delete, it could delete as well, but most likely you would just change the status to expired or whatever, and so it would drop off that view that you're displaying inside of Teams. So that way, to display something like that in Teams, it would have to use a flow because you're not going to be able to use the filter. Any other questions? Good question, though, Nancy.
All right, so real quickly, we're at 1 o'clock. So thank you, everybody, for joining. Feel free to stick around and chat and talk and ask questions if you want to. I don't know what Stacy's schedule looks like, but if she's still here and can answer questions, great. And if she needs to leave, we understand that too. And Lindsay, go ahead and